Let's go. Today, a quick training. I got an appointment to run a little bit. 11. I got to leave at 10:30. So, I want to go over a quick training on creating urgency. I think we all need to create urgency. Everybody should be creating urgency. If you're not getting people to make the decision, one sec here. Ask this guy 2 times to do his things. I'm gonna boot him out. Sec here. Bye-bye. Okay. One sec here. All right. One sec. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah,
Loud and
I
clear.
can hear
So
you.
the idea of creating urgency, and there's always creative ways that we're going to create urgency, but I want to talk about creating urgency without feeling like you're pushing or pressing or pressuring somebody. The people are usually scared of salespeople because they feel like they're going to get pressured. They know it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, and so a lot of times people have, if they're not going to set a consultation with you, it's because they're scared that you're going to come in there and you're going to do some crazy pressure. I teach you guys how to create the urgency, set the frame so that the expectations are very clear. And the other thing is creating that urgency from the very beginning. You set the trap or you set the frame before at the end. You don't do this at the end, whether you're at the door or you're at the kitchen table. It's very important part of the process to make sure that you're setting the frame of the urgency from the very beginning, so that at the end it's the natural progression for them to make the consultation or to sign the paperwork, because at that point you've already created the beginning. Now, if you do this at the end, what happens at that point? What happens if at the end now you've got all the reasons why they need to do it?
You look like you're lying. You look like you're desperate.
Look like you're pressuring
You do at
someone.
the very end.
Look like you're lying, look like you're desperate. Nobody likes it. Now, what I like in this too is like you're getting somebody and then you just push him right off the cliff. It's like pushing someone right off the cliff. They're going to be obviously struggling. They're not going to want to go with you. And so the natural progression is setting the frame from the very beginning. When I'm knocking doors or I'm at the kitchen table, I'm going to be talking about the reasons why that's in their best interest to make a decision to be able to move forward, right? It's in their best interest. And there's consequences if you do, there's consequences if you don't do. Consequences if you don't do are going to be far more severe than the consequences if you make a decision. So urgency isn't about rushing someone. It's about them helping them make a decision they already know is right. They already know is going to be right. Before the window closes or the pain gets worse or the utility bill goes up or they're not going to have the option or opportunity to be able to do this. So in solar, we've got incredible amount of urgency that we can leverage and use right now. And everybody needs to be talking this at the doors. Like I talked about this and knocked doors a couple days ago. Dude, that's all I talked about. I set the trap. I set the frame from the very beginning about, hey, this is what's happening and we're about to lose this, but it's ending now. So even when I'm setting these things and I'm telling these things, I'm already laying the framework so that these people aren't going to say, oh, I'll talk about it. I'll think about it. You don't have time to think about it. You don't have time to talk about it. There's no time to think. You have to do right now or else you're going to miss out. One of the things I want to ask you guys, what does pressure sound like? What have you, I know you guys have pressured people and I know you've been pressured. What does pressure sound like?
Pushy.
Like, what would that sound like?
You need to do this now.
Yeah, I was just gonna give an example. Like I was at the gym the other day, and they're like, "Well, if you don't sign up today, like you get 150, you have to pay $150 enrollment fee." I don't know, it's kind of like a little pressure, you know.
Yeah, that's pressure. And like those people you just want to punch in the face. Like go learn some skills and then come back and talk to me. Like if I'm getting sold and someone's trying to apply pressure, I'm like, you're full of shit, dude. Like, bro, I understand. Like you're full of shit. Like learn better sales skills. What does urgency sound like?
It's like you're missing out.
Like, I bet that
Yeah.
to do with politics.
Basically, yeah, if you don't act today, this deal's basically off the table.
That's pressure. That's pressure, Josh. If you don't do this today, this deal leaves. Like, I'm gonna give you some. Hey, like I'm not asking you guys to do this today, but here's what happens if we don't do this today. The first thing is like we're gonna miss out on these deadlines, and you guys are gonna have to pay full price for this. Like, hey, I guarantee you guys will make a decision eventually. But like, do you want to take advantage when the incentives are good, or do you want to wait until you have to pay full price? Eventually, you're going to do this anyways, regardless, right? Now, whether you do this now when you take advantage of the incentives, or whether you wait and you're gonna have to pay full price for the solar because all the incentives are gone, is ultimately up to you. Would you consider yourself a proactive person or reactive person? Like, oh, I'm proactive. Okay, so you try to do things before you're forced to do things, right? Yes. Okay, good. Yeah, people like you, proactive people, love this opportunity because they understand the value of what's happening right now, right? So, like, hey, this deal ends today. This deal ends right now. This deal, if you don't do this today, this is the consequence. That type of framework, if you're doing it like that, I've noticed that I piss a lot of people off, and then there's also some animosity, and people aren't going to leave you a good review. They're going to be pissed. Pressure is my agenda. Urgency is their pain, time, opportunity. Does this make sense to you guys? So it's not about our agenda. So I always tell you guys, do not go in there with your own agenda. Like, look for the customer's needs. When we serve the customer at the highest level, that means we're identifying what their needs are, and then we're actually catering to those needs. We find out some things about them, and then we're looking for ways that they need to be able to do this, or else some sort of consequence happens. And we set the framework from the very beginning. You have to set the framework from the very beginning rather than at the end. So on Eli, if that guy would have done that, hey, you got to do this today or this ends, blah, 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 he's pressuring you. He would have been like, hey, man, I'm really, a good way to would have been address this, to be able to frame this, so you wouldn't have been that pushy guy. Hey, I'm so glad that we were able to talk to you today, because if we take advantage today, we get to waive the $150 sign up fee. So I'm really glad that you're able to talk to us today. Then at the end, when he's asking for your business, it's like, hey, dude, remember, like, right now, today, we're giving the incentive of waiving the $150. I know that you want to take advantage of that because you really want your health. You put your health as a main priority. And so, like, now if we can get you a little bit more incentive, which is not having to pay the $150 enrollment fee, I know this is something you would probably want to do, right? So
Yeah,
that's the way that you can set the frame versus, and by the way, too, nobody wants to pay 150 bucks. Now, if we're talking about the solar equation, what do we know about the solar? We know this, that solar incentives are ending. Solar incentives at the end of the year, all for all cash buyers and all loans, they're all ending. So we've got to be able to set this frame. And by the way, at the start of 2027, all of the tax credits are ended for leases. There's a different little strategy that will happen at that point. Like, we've got to let these people know, like, listen, solar's never been better than it is right now. And here are the reasons, but here's the consequence. Here's what's happening at the end of the year. So I'm going to set the story. I'm going to always tell stories. If you're ever with me, you always watch me tell stories. I'm always telling stories, and the stories are going to relay the information about creating the urgency. Now, you don't even have to create stories. All you have to do is set this frame from the very beginning on the consequences if they don't make a decision. And then at the end, if you're trying to get them to make a decision, you're pulling up the stuff that you talked about initially, rather than waiting till the very end, and then you're pushing them off a cliff, and they're going to get a lot of resistance. You're going to get a lot of anger. You're getting a lot of animosity. So I'm going to say pain amplification. So we're not selling solar. We're selling the problem. We're really, if you can get good at selling the problem on what's happening, if you can get good at selling the problem with rising utility rates, people have a leak in their finances, people being super uncomfortable, all of the other negatives and stuff that go with solar, the uncertainty with knowing, the uncertainty with knowing not knowing what the utility bill is going to do, is going to lead us to create that urgency. Hey, everybody knows, most people know right now that they're going up. Most people understand SRP. The lady I met with yesterday, she knew that they were going to go up in November. She knew that they were going up in December. She's the one, I brought it up, and she's like, yeah, I heard that. Yeah. And so it was the uncertainty. So, like, what we talk about is some of the uncertainty. What do we give people with solar? We give people certainty. And so what we're going to talk about is we're going to pain amplification, and we're going to use the language that will elicit some sort of consequence if they stay the same. And by the way, if you get good at selling the problem, and you agitate that pain, what ends up happening is people no longer want to live with that pain, or the consequence of staying in that pain and being aware and conscious of that pain is no longer something that they're tolerable, and now they're going to make a decision to make a decision to be able to move forward and take control of the certainty that they want. You're already paying the bill every month. That's the cost of waiting. You're already paying a bill right now, and here's the problem with that: in 3, 4, or 5 years, this bill is going to double. Like, how are you going to feel about that? Yeah, and here's the other problem that we're having right now is at the end of the year, all of the tax credits for the loans and the cash buyers, it's ending. And so the way the big beautiful bill is written is the solar system has to be installed and turned on by the end of the year so that we can qualify for these. Now, are you a proactive person or are you a reactive person? Like, get them to answer. Oh, I'm proactive. Okay, great. Yeah, proactive people love taking advantage of this. So, how long do you plan on donating money to SRP before you own your power? How long are you planning on donating all your money to SRP? How much money have you given SRP already? Like, asking them these sort of quality questions, which is going to lead them to be able to create the urgency and stuff for them to take advantage of this. So, future pacing. I want to be able to future pace everybody into an undesirable state, and then I'm going to future pace them into a desirable state. So imagine in 6 years or 4 years or 6 years, whatever it's going to be, imagine in 6 years, you're paying a double bill. Like, what are your options? By the way, in 6 years, so the price of solar is going up. And by the way, in 6 years, after the end of this year, there's no more tax incentives. So now if you want a solution, the solar solution is always going to be there, but unfortunately, it's probably going to be a little bit higher than what you're currently spending in your utility bill. So like, right now, what we're offering is a solution. What we're offering is a government-backed incentive program where we're able to actually pay for 55% of your system. We're able to reduce your bill and give you certainty in the foreseeable future. So you guys can take advantage of this now, or you can take advantage of this later. It's ultimately up to you to take advantage right now when the incentives are good, or waiting until the pain is unbearable and that you're absolutely forced to make a decision on what you want to do, right? Imagine sitting here in the summer when imagine the bill goes up 4 or 5 times, and what are you putting the thermostat at right now? What will you put the thermostat at here in the future? What are you going to put the thermostat at? Like, I love this one because I love figuring out what people, that's physical pain. If people are sitting in their house at 80 degrees, do you think, I mean, if you look at that from the context, most of these people are strategically suffering, right? And so I want to ask them the questions like, what's this going to be like when the bill doubles? Are you going to put the thermostat another couple degrees up? Is that tolerable for you? Imagine living in your house and you're putting it 80 degrees. Imagine what that's going to be like living in your house is 84 degrees. What's that going to be like for you guys? Like, imagine what that's going to be like. So what we're doing is we're future pacing the pain. We also want to future pace them if they don't make the decision. So another way that we can create the urgency is by like, hey, so at the end of the year, the tax credits are gone. Let's say you wait. Let's say that you want to think about this and you want to wait and you do research and you wait 4 years until the bills double. By this time, you're going to have to pay full price for the solar because there's no tax incentives for it. Like, now you're going to have to pay full price. Does that put you in a better position or a worse position? But now imagine sitting in your house and you're keeping it. What's the temperature that you would actually want to put the thermostat at? 75? Great. Imagine putting your house at 75 degrees and not having to pay a penalty because you made a decision to use your energy. What does that look like? How does that make you feel? Does that put you in a better position or worse position? The other line I like to use is you could certainly wait, but this program can't. This ends at the end of the year. The federal funding that this makes this work is literally disappearing. We're looking to get installs now before the end of the year, before the incentives ride out. And what you can do is now you can bandwagon social proof. All of the neighbors, and what I want to use is like all of the neighbors right now, when I'm talking to people, whether I'm sitting down at their kitchen table, whether I'm knocking doors, I'm like, all of the neighbors are freaking out. They see what the utility bill is doing, and they understood. They just saw the big beautiful bill pass, which essentially pulls all tax incentives at the end of the year. So people that looked at this in the past, or people that didn't consider this in the past, are now starting to consider this because they want to take advantage while the incentives are still in place. So like, we could certainly do that. You can certainly think about it. Then at the end, if you set the frame from the very beginning And then at the end, is it pressure when you're like, yeah, absolutely, you can certainly wait. But unfortunately, this program doesn't. Like, you're not that pushy person. You've set the frame, so the realistic expectations of what's going to happen if they don't take advantage today, right? And by the way, you can use any sort of urgency. At the end of the day, if you're talking to your customer and they're really concerned about something, what we want to do is we want to create some sort of urgency about something that they tell us. So we want to create some urgency. Maybe they're like, "Oh yeah, I have a kid on the way. Well, what do you think your bill is going to go up? You know, at this time you had to have a utility bill. It's going to go up to double. How's that going to make you feel? Does this put your family in a better position or worse position?" So um, the only thing that changes if you wait is the price. That creates an unsaid. That's speaking to the unconscious. The only thing that the only thing that changes if you wait is going to be the price. Most people regret not moving sooner. Rarely, it's the other way around. So when I talk to most of my clients, the only thing they ever regret is that they didn't take advantage. They didn't take advantage before. And by the way, and let me tell you about the solar space, dude. Like, solar is always changing. So people that took advantage, if you ever meet those customers in SRP that took advantage before 2016, these are the happiest people because they took advantage when they were still net metering. Net metering would disappear essentially in a 2-week period. Um, so like if you look at something like that, if you look at like the context of solar and the consequences why if people wait, you can look back through historic facts and you can find ways that people waited and then they missed out. And I've sold solar to people that had the opportunity to go solar when it was net metering and they didn't do it. And inevitably they always say, "Hey, listen, you know, I regret not taking advantage. And I didn't really understand it. I wish that I would have taken advantage back then, but I'm glad that we're doing it now." You don't need to do it today for me. You'd be doing it today for you. Now you can speak to their identity. You don't need to do this today for me. What we need to do is we need to do this for you. You're the protector and provider for your house. You've been protecting and providing for your family your entire life. And so if you look at it from that context, what we're thinking of is we're thinking about how you're going to protect and provide your family. This is the next logical emotional step to do. And the other question you asked, what would waiting 6 months cost you if nothing improved? Like, how much more money are you going to pay the utility company? And I'm going to end with this. So urgency comes from certainty. If you sound calm, confident, and grounded in facts, people follow. If you chase, they run. So like telling you, "Oh, this ends today. If you don't do this today, $150, you can pay 100." That's chasing somebody. It's more to chasing. I would say it's pushing people. Every close today, identify one pain anchor, one future pay statement, and one time compression line. So, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you guys like in your intention when you're knocking doors. I want you to be intentional about creating the frame of the urgency from the very beginning. Hey, listen, did the neighbors tell you I was stopping by? Okay, great. So one of the things they're freaking out about is they're freaking out that they know the solar tax credits are going to end. Dude, even if you're not even talking about the utility bill, if you're just talking about the solar tax credits ending and people are going to miss out, people will take advantage of this opportunity. Like just by creating that sort of a frame, we're talking about solar tax credits ending. So if you guys have any, like the other thing too is you could pull up there's a bunch of news articles and stuff on this. I mean, I don't know if a lot of you guys are still giving pamphlets or giving forms or whatnot, but like, hey, did you guys see this? Did you guys check this out? Go ahead, Trey. What's up?
I was speaking to a guy the other day. Me and Leo were on the door, and I was telling him about like the tax credits ending and everything. He seen the big beautiful bill. He realizes that all that stuff's going away, and he was just. And I also like called him out to his identity and spoke to his person. I was like, "You don't really take me as a type of person that's reactive, right? You like proactive about everything." And I already knew that from a story he told me prior, and like he likes control, predictability, certainty, but he was just so adamant, I guess, on just waiting or whatever. And I don't know if I didn't create it create the urgency properly or frame it very well in the beginning to make him say that, or if it's just he's I don't know, just kind of just stuck in his ways or something.
Yeah, so he's risk averse. So I would say he's risk averse. So I'm like, I would ask him a question, and this is where instead of pushing, you start pulling, and you'd ask him like, "What's waiting going to cost you? Have you ever waited before and you lost out on something before? Now you want to get them to recall some other pain that he had in the past." So like if you can get them to answer and then them to admit, and then by asking that question, you're directing their attention to thinking about things that they might have missed out on.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if he was already aware, I thought we were going to get I thought that sounds like a deal, man. If he's well aware of this stuff. So
Do what?
I would have thought he was well aware of like, okay, the tax credits are ending. This is what's happening. So he's like at least has some awareness, whereas most people are unaware of what's happening and what's going to happen. And so it's up to us to be able to paint the picture of what's going to happen if they don't move forward and what's going to happen with the utility company. By the way, you could leverage the tax credits ending. You guys could leverage the utility company going up. You guys could leverage any of this stuff creates an incredible amount of urgency. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to create the urgency that the customer will actually see as motivation for making a decision to move forward. Most people operate from an away from model. They're not operating from a towards model. And so most people are going to be operating from some sort of ideology that will keep them away from avoiding pain or get them away from averting some sort of disaster or experiencing some sort of a disaster. So that being said, if we know that, then what we're doing is we're creating the problem and we create the framework that this is the consequence if you're not to do this. And so at the end of the day, dude, solar is always going to have an incredible amount of urgency on various different things, whether it's the tax credits ending, whether it's utility bills going up, whether it's policy. And by the way, too, just let you guys know, SRP is changing all their rate plans here come November 1st. The rate plans change. Just to let you guys know, SRP rate plans change pretty significantly come November 1st. And so, like, the saving grace for us is that we have batteries for people. They're shifting and changing the time of use. And so now it's going to be towards night. It's going to be in the evening when there's no sun out. So people are going to be completely 100% reliant on a battery to get them through. And so it's a good thing that we have batteries and that we're still being able to serve people at the highest level because we're on top of things. But the other thing that we could create is you could create that urgency for people making a decision before SRP goes up. And by the way, SRP is increasing everybody's connection fee to $30. So and most customers got this insert. So like you can say, hey, did you guys throw away the insert talking about SRP increasing the monthly service fee? Did you guys throw that away? So you don't ask them, hey, did you guys get the letter? Because if you get a no, you're starting out on a wrong foot. Did you guys get the letter talking about SRP? They're raising the connection fee to $30. That's an additional $10 that people are going to have to pay. So like there's the yes or no. And if they're like, yes, I did see it. Okay, did you understand that they're also going to go up 4.6% here in November and then another 8.6% in December? Most people threw that insert away. So like people are freaking out because they see the trajectory of SRP and what's going to happen in the foreseeable future. And so what we're here to offer you is some sort of a solution to that. So I love you guys. It's Friday. It's Saturday. I love to see everybody in the group chat working out. Let's go.
We're running out of time. What exactly is changing with like the SRP rate plan? They're shifting the hours, but I'm guessing they're going to shift it to like it's 9 p.m.
What's that?
Google it, Jeremy.
I was just curious, like how they're changing the plans. I can look it up though, like Demetrius.
They're changing the time of use. So now it's going to be in the evening. So people won't have solar supplementation. Now, people that signed up for solar are grandfathered in, but anybody that's making a decision to go solar after November 1st, they shift and change that time of use. So now it's in the evening, and they're also shifting and changing the buyback rate plan. The buyback rate plan gets significantly worse, just to tell you guys. So it's going to get significantly worse for all the customers out there.
I had lady last night, the last door I was talking to, and basically she was outside, and I just ran into her, asked how she was doing, and this and that. And she's like, "What are you selling? Solar?" She's like, "Yeah, we were thinking about going solar, but I don't like the looks of it." That was the first time I overcame that objection, and then I kind of got stuck because I was like, your roof is facing southwest, so it's going to be all the way in the back. You won't see them unless you drink a coffee in the morning and you look at your roof. She's like, "That's exactly what we do." And I'm like, "Oh." And then I jumped into this program is ending because all the solar incentives gets taken away in December 31st. But what it states that our system has to be installed and operational by then to get the tax credits.
Yeah.
And I said her, and she works on the data centers, plumbing stuff or stuff like that.
Well, she knows how much energy they're going to consume then.
Yeah. So that was a good one.
Let's go. Okay. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Let's have it. Let's finish strong. We have Friday, Saturday. Let's go.
Let's go.
Oh.
All right,
No.
boys. Thank you,
All
Luke.
right. Yeah.
Hi, Luke.
Bye.